Things have gone from bad to worse for the Dallas Stars after surrendering 3 goals in the final minute of regulation and losing in overtime 6-5 to the Vancouver Canucks. Another reality check? I guess so. It's time to buck up.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. You heard me correctly, Stars fans. The Dallas Stars gave up 3 goals in the final minute of regulation after being up 5-2 and losing in overtime 6-5 to the Canucks. Another overtime loss, another third period blown lead, and it doesn't get much more embarrassing than that on home ice for the Dallas Stars. A monumental collapse, to put it lightly. A monumental collapse. Just embarrassing stuff from the Dallas Stars. Teams don't win Stanley Cups, let alone one game in the Stanley Cup playoffs, blowing third goal leads like the Dallas Stars have the last few games against garbage teams. That's a little disrespectful, but against teams that aren't contenders, we'll put it that way. You don't win a Stanley Cup, let alone a series, giving up 3 goals and completely stop playing. Just puck watching. Just puck watching, enjoying the night. Oh, we got it. Empty nets in. It's all good. Just embarrassing, to say the least. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I'm baffled. I can't really put it into perspective. So I'll allow Jamie Benn to do that for us.
I don't know. They played good. They were working hard. It's just, like I said, unacceptable from this group, especially this time of the year.
Well, according to the post-game show on Victory Plus, it was the first time in NHL history that someone has scored 3 goals in the final minute. Shocking. It's not. I was hoping this was going to be the get-right game, and it was for the most part. And we're going to get to some of the positives, okay? Because there were a lot of positives that we're going to touch on later. But right now we're going to sulk and be bitter because this team now is just mentally checked out, it feels like. I'm sorry, but you don't just collapse like that if you're engaged for 60 minutes. And this isn't a team that's just blown the doors off of everybody coming into the game. And you're like, okay, this sucks, right? Like, this sucks. But the previous dozen games were awesome. You're going to have a stinker. No, this is a team that's been awful. They've been nothing short of awful for the last month, really. And I know that's a bit harsh. And at this point, it's the recency of everything. And I'm fed up and frustrated watching a team that just looks checked out. You have to play a full 60 minutes. 60 minutes. It's the NHL. They can barely put 15 minutes or 5 minutes to, or back-to-back shifts half the time. And they did an excellent job of spotting themselves a lead because they took advantage of the power play. They go 3 for 4 tonight on the power play. But they revert back to their old ways in the third period. And again, it's hold on for they can't close out teams. I mean, Case in point, the last 3 games. I would have never said that about the last 2 teams in Dallas, the last 2 years under Pete DeBoer. I always felt like Stars had a lead late. They were going to close it out. And for the most part, they did almost every single time. They closed teams out. And that was with suspicious defense. Now it's horrific. And I mean, you could just look at it just sums. Look at the goals they scored in the third. Let's say the final minute. The Atu Rady one was Wyatt Johnson. Get rid of the puck. Get rid of the puck. You take the rebound. You take a rebound off to Smith. 2 feet away from get rid of the puck. All he has to do is chip that out to ice the puck for that measure. Right there. That's another mistake. Then you get the first Suter goal to make it 5-4. I mean, 5 guys puck watching. 5 guys puck watching, ladies and gentlemen. Go back on Victory Plus, rewind. You get 5 guys below the tops of the circles. Ain't nobody picking up Suter. Ain't nobody picking up Suter in the middle of the slot. It's not just coaching. This is simple stuff. This is 101. Hey, maybe we should put a green sweater on the white sweater in the middle of the slot. I don't know. Just an idea. Go back. Five victory green sweaters below the tops of the circles, just around the net. Ain't nobody picking up anybody. No hard stick checks. Just no awareness to think maybe we should get a stick on that guy. And then the 5th goal from Suter, Stars unable to win a battle. They can't win a battle in the corner. And then boom, it gets worked across a shot. Again, nobody picks up Suter. Why are we standing around? And this is with Robo, Hintz, and Rantanen on the ice too, by the way. The previous goal, I know the steel line was out there with Blackwell. This is the big boys out there to close out the game, right? These are your best players, and they get caught running around. Again, nobody picks up 24. He just walks in the slot, and nobody puts a stick on him. Nobody puts a stick on him, ladies and gentlemen. There's nobody in sight. There's nobody in sight. And DeSmith wasn't great either, but I'm sorry. The Stars have to be able to close out games. They have to be close. They have to be able to close out games. And it's not all into Smith. And I don't think he was great either. But it really is unacceptable, as Jamie Benn said. And my goodness, there was a lot of things when watching the first half of the game. I was, oh, this is going to be such a fun episode. We're going to praise Dallas. They got themselves right, or at least put themselves back on track a bit. And they just completely blow it. Completely blow it. By the way, the Avs won in a shootout, so Dallas doesn't clinch home ice. Not that that freaking matter. I could care less about home ice at this point. I don't care about winning the division. I don't care about any of it. I just want Stars to play decent hockey, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to lose to anybody they play in the playoffs at this point with how they're playing. I don't care if it's Colorado, San Jose. It really doesn't matter at this point. I just want them to. I want them to have a chance. I want them to make me believe there's a chance to win maybe a couple of playoff games. A chance. I have no faith, ladies and gentlemen. I am disgusted with myself knowing I have to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. And this may be a huge overreaction. Maybe some of you Stars fans feel the same way. I don't even want to watch it. I don't want to. I don't want to have to put myself through it. I think it's going to be 60 minutes of hell. And again, this is harsh and a bit recent. And maybe I'm feeling this way because they just collapsed. Again, it's laughable. It really is. We'll kick it over to Pete DeBoer to sort of wrap this point up.
Yeah, I do. Thankfully it's not a playoff game. Hopefully we learn from it. It's unfortunate because it's going to cloud some of the really good things we did tonight for big portions of that game. But you got to play for 60 minutes, and we didn't. And for whatever reason, we didn't execute down the stretch. So it's it's disappointing because we did put in some work tonight, in a positive direction, I thought. You've got to learn from it, and we got to get up. We've got biggest game of the year on Thursday night. Great test for us, and we're still alive in that chase for them, which is what we wanted to make sure happened going into Thursday, and we're still right there. So, it's going to be a great test of our character to see how we respond.
They're not desperate enough. I don't know what it is. And I can understand that they have the playoff spot locked up. And at this point, I guess there's not a whole lot to play for. But Pete DeBoer's here telling me that they got the biggest game of the year on Thursday and how they want to win the Central. They want to win the conference. Doesn't look like it. They want to win it? Couldn't tell. Last 3 games. They don't look desperate. They don't look like they really want to win at some points. Just saying. 3 third period blown leads in a row. I mean, that hasn't happened in 2 years under Pete DeBoer. That hasn't happened in a while around here. And I hope it's just peak crap right now. Like, this is the worst they can be. I thought it ended in Minnesota. I really did. But it happened again. And there's a lot of good out of the game too that we're going to get to, I promise. But it's just another reality check for that. They're just not good enough right now. They're just not good enough. And they had a heck of a regular season. But it's just not good enough. It's not good enough. More to discuss in a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep the feeling of being fuller longer. How those little green wonders pack such a protein punch, nobody knows. But the Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein providing all 9 essential amino acids. That's how. And the satisfying crack of opening each shell, it's like snack meditation. It's that grab and go ease with Wonderful Pistachios because it works just as hard as you do. When you're running between meetings, dropping off the kids, need that little snack, get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. I do want to address this real quick, but before we move on, because I find it infuriating. The whole Jim Nill has screwed the Dallas Stars conversation. I've seen on X and Twitter over the last few days. I think is completely disingenuous and really laughable to put a large chunk on what the Dallas Stars are right now on him. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some criticism, but at the same time, I don't think we can sit here and rewrite history. There wasn't a whole lot on the table for Jim Nill to go out and get, especially in terms of a defenseman. I don't think one defenseman at this point in time that was available at the deadline would change the fortunes of the Dallas Stars right now, to be completely fair. You could argue differently. I don't think the Stars are playing well enough, whether they had Rasmus Ristolainen, Brandon Carlo, or whoever. It's clearly not good enough. Also, Mikko Rantanen was not expected to be available at the trade deadline, and he went out and made that happen. So let's cool it with Jim Nill has screwed the Dallas Stars. He's the reason they're not as good, or they're not going to make a deep playoff run. Okay, he's the reason Stars are going to be contending for the next 10 years. Let's get that right, okay? Let's stop jumping ship because Stars have been awful on Jim Nill, all right? I think it's a bit laughable that conversation is even being brought up, because I've said it before. I don't think there was a whole lot out there that was this, I guess, magic pill for Dallas to go out and get, like a Chris Tanev last year. Plus, they would have had to give up a first-round pick for a rental, more than likely, and then we're going to sit here in 2 months and then blame him for giving up a first-round pick. That's exactly how the conversation would go. Oh, well, he gave up a first or second-round pick for this guy, and we didn't even re-sign him, and we didn't win a cup out of it. That's exactly how the conversation would go. At least we got Mikko Rantanen for 8 years. I'm sorry, that really irritates me, seeing that sort of popping up. And again, you can criticize him for whatever, but for this collapse and what has happened the last few months, there's been a lot of injuries, and I would rather point it back to the players in the dressing room and the coaching staff a bit more, because Jim Nill has done way too good to put this team in a position to compete for years for that to start being brought up. That irritates me, and I'm tired of even seeing that. So I did want to touch on that, because just baffles my mind that can be that all of a sudden Jim Nill is the reason the Stars are where they are. And look, you can argue that. I don't believe Carlo Ristolainen would be the answer. Do you? Do you really think, like, oh, they got a little more physical? Awesome. Like, if we wanted another big defenseman that can't move, like, we just find somebody in the organization at this point. Anyways, it's a reality check for the Dallas Stars, to say the least. After falling for the third straight game, they just have to find a way to get on the same page. And there was some positives that we'll get to in a bit, but I don't know what the answers are. They are just lacking an edge right now. They're lacking. They just lack the intensity of a 60-minute hockey game, where they play in stretches and they just get lazy at points. The final minute is just a perfect representation of the last month. Just puck watching, like not putting a hat on a hat. Get a stick on somebody. Even if you don't know where you're supposed to be, just get in front of the net, tie somebody up. Like make an effort to provide some resistance. You just look at some of the goal, and it's just really weak stuff that the Stars allow. And look, I understand that Lundell played a lot of minutes, especially late, and they chucked him out there late too on the final 2 goals, and he had played a ton in that third period, since Vancouver's on a 4-minute power play at one point. So they ran him raggedy at over a 2-minute shift, and they were exhausted. But you just got to find a way to buckle down at some points. And it's just really disappointing to watch them just blow up and combust a bit. I said it earlier, and I hope it's just, this is the worst they can get. And maybe it's a lesson learned, as Pete DeBoer said. They have to learn from this and move on and play the biggest game on Thursday night against Winnipeg. And I still can't believe it, but Dallas is somewhat still in the race. If they beat Winnipeg, they'll be within 2 points. It's still going to be really tough to do, but they'll have an opportunity to win the West or win the Central if they find a way to beat Winnipeg, which is going to be a very, very tough ask, to say the least. But they have to learn quickly. I would have hoped they would learn from the two previous games rather than this one. And again, I come back to, you're just not going to win games in the playoffs playing this way. You just don't see this out of good teams or teams that win the Stanley Cup. I don't recall teams just just completely crap in the bed, so to speak. Because they're just not engaged enough. I'm sorry, that just happens from a lack of discipline, really. And they took too many penalties in the game again. That didn't help. We mentioned it. They got to stay out of the box. They took another four penalties tonight. You can't do that. That's been a theme. They take them way they can't kill as much as they are. Their penalty kill has been fantastic, right? And we've documented that, but they're stressing it enough. And then you get games like this where it finally rears its ugly head. And we talked about how slim the margins are when Dallas has been playing the way they are. Eventually, these things start to even out, where Dallas got lucky to win some of these games that maybe they shouldn't have. And now it's starting to be the opposite result, where they're losing these games. And now it's a wake-up call that they have to flip the switch. I don't know if they can. That's where I run into this issue. I don't know if they can. Because it's only going to be magnified. Only going to be magnified in a few weeks' time. It's a real tough ask right now to beat anybody with the way they're playing. And I hope they show up Thursday. Boy, do I hope they show up. If they run Winnipeg out of the building for 60 minutes, I'm going to come on here and be like, oh, bring it on, Colorado. I don't see that happening. But we'll see. Okay, we'll get to the positives because I do want to touch on some of it. Pete DeBoer did say in his press conference it's going to sting, but we're going to take some of the bright spots out of it. So I do want to highlight some of those before we get out of here. We'll do that in just a moment.
Do you have trouble sleeping? If so, you're not alone. That used to be me, lacking rest, tossing and turning. I was late for meetings. I never felt like myself. That's until I found Bare Mattress. Bare Mattress and their sleep recovery technology helped me fall asleep faster as well as enjoy deeper sleeps. I felt like myself again, and you can too. Bare Mattress knows that every sleeper is different. That's why they have their sleep quiz on their website that finds you your perfect match. As a side sleeper, I matched with the Elite Hybrid mattress, and I've been telling everyone in my life they have to try Bare Mattress risk-free. You can sleep on your Bare Mattress up to 120 nights, and if you're not getting the best sleep of your life, you can get it refunded. They'll pick it up with absolutely no hassle. So go to bearmattress.com and use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout to get 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
Alrighty, the positives from a 6-5 monumental collapse by the Dallas Stars against the Canucks. Number one, the power play was awesome. And a lot of this pertains to the first half of the hockey game. So bear with me. They go 3 for 4 on the man advantage. That was a welcome sight since the power play had not looked very good the last week or so. But they get back to some of the basics. They work hard. They outwork some of the PK, and they win some battles, make some nice plays. The Ranson goal is beautiful. Marchment was set up by Jamie Benn, a great play to keep that puck alive. And then you have Duchesne later in the game as well with his 30th of the season. So the power play was great. So we'll take that. It's a beautiful setup on really all three of the goals. Just some really nice in tight passing behind the goal line. Just really fantastic stuff that they were able to get back to some of their DNA. And they were able to catch in. So that was huge. I thought they were really good out of their own zone in the first, 2 periods, right? Or the first half of the hockey game. Uh, they still struggle at points, but for the most part, I thought that was the most fluid they looked out of their own zone in a while. They were making some smart plays, and I thought a large part of that too was the willingness of the Stars forwards to back check and help out. The top line especially had some great moments. Even Johnston's line for that matter. And speaking of the positive, Jamie Benn was awesome, and so was Maverick Bourque. I chose Bourque as my shooting star. I thought he had a fantastic game. He was good. Great to see him get on the score sheet. He scored that goal once Dallas finally had a push in the third period. 16 minutes into the frame, they decided to start playing hockey. I thought Bourque had a really strong game from the outset. In that line in general, him and Jamie Benn, who I've really liked since he returned to the lineup, thought they had really, really strong nights. You look at the box score, it was a lot good there. I know outside of the third period, Stars were out shooting Vancouver, but they got outshot 32-28. They won 58% of their draws. They only had 6 giveaways, and they had 20 block shots, but a lot of that was because they were defending the entire third period, and they had to sell out their bodies to just try to block shots and try to keep as much rubber away from Casey DeSmith. And even then, they still gave up over 30 shots. But I did like Bourque and Benn. I thought they had strong games. Those were two guys that really stood out to me. I mean, Granlund, for that matter, he had a 3-point night, including the empty netter, which at the point we thought was going to seal the game. But he had a great night. I mean, so did Marchment, right? Like he's looking like himself, which is great to see. Again, it sucks that it comes in a losing effort, but I thought there were some really strong performances from some individuals, and the team just collapsed late in really that third period. But you look at the first 2 periods, I thought it was good, strong stuff, and really the best Dallas has looked in a while. And I got some warm, fuzzy feelings again watching them play. I was like, okay, they look pretty decent here tonight. And then it all broke loose with a couple penalties in the third period, and it went haywire. But I did like what I saw out of the first 2 periods and some change. I even the Bichel Dumba pairing, like physical, making some good plays along the walls. Harley is going to do Harley things, right? Again, I think there was a lot to take out of the game outside of the third period, but there was some good performances from individuals that I feel like need to be praised to some degree. Bourque especially thought he was great, but again, like Dallas just needs more from everybody. I just need more from everybody. And it's 60 minutes that they need, and they're just not getting it right now for whatever reason. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here on Thursday, which will be a gigantic game. But I did like what I saw out of Dallas for the first 2 periods, and power play was good, which is a good sign. They just got to stay out of the box. My goodness, they got to stay out of the box. They need to help themselves out more. They have to help themselves out. Sam Steele, for that matter, too. I don't want to gloss over him. Thought he had a pretty strong night. I mean, the first period in general was like, okay, like this is Dallas Stars hockey again. Like hard on the forecheck. They were throwing some weight around, throwing some bodies, like winning some battles, and shocker, like it leads to good things. And they start playing on their toes a bit, which was a welcome sight. And it's not like they were dominating at 5-on-5 by any stretch, but at least it wasn't just taking on water and being dominated like the third period was, right? Like we've seen at 5-on-5. There was at least some pressure Dallas was putting on the opponent and making some things happen. And they just got to do that more. And at this point, I understand that is a really, really tough ask, but I hope they can turn it around, Stars fans. I really do. I've had enough. I'm done for tonight. I've been rambling anyway, so we're going to end it here. Stars fans, just let me know how disgusted you are in the comments. Let it rip down there. Let it fly. It's a safe space, and we're going to move on. Thank you, as always, for love and support. Have a great rest of your day. I'm going to see you tomorrow, okay? To sleep this one off. So long, Stars fans.